OBA Live at OMEA Amplify. And it's just fantastic that you're all joining us today. We really appreciate the time you're taking out of your busy schedules to be here with us. And we're hoping to share some wonderful things with you in the next couple of hours. So I'm going to hand this straight over to a colleague and board member, Mark Caswell, and he's going to introduce our wonderful keynote today. So Mark, over to you.
Thanks so much, Lynn. So welcome. It is great to see all of you as little tiny people. Today we are blessed to have Colin Clarke speaking with us. For those who don't know Colin, he is a conductor, a clinician, an adjudicator. He does some composing and arranging, and he's traveled all across Canada and the United States, working with so many different ensembles, from little kids to professionals. He has all kinds of credits to his name, and including some performances at Carnegie Hall. And not that long ago, he won the Molson Great Canadian Award, which is appropriate. I don't know if he's a beer drinker, but he certainly would have been great in one of those commercials. I am Canadian. So without further ado, let's pass it over to Colin Clarke, our keynote speaker.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and Mark, thank you for that introduction. Can you hear me okay? I want to make sure I'm not muted. I get thumbs up, I'm okay? Good, good. Since I have more and more these days. Thank you for the opportunity to speak to you folks. My name is Colin, and I'm going to share a few ideas with you, if I may. When I was in grade 9, my school had the option where you can do, for grade 9 music, you can either do band or percussion. And this was kind of innovative because the grade 9 percussion class then became the percussion section for the grade 9 band. But for the first 4 months of percussion class, we didn't see the grade 9 band. We were just like 8 of us in a classroom with our teacher making music and doing our thing alone. And you have to picture me in grade 9. When I was in grade 9, my focus really was not, I had a cursory understanding of band. I could identify a trumpet or a French horn or a trombone, but I didn't know much about band music. But I do understand rhythm. I understand beats, because back when I was in grade 9, my focus was on what we called old school hip hop. I was into hip hop rap, and the titans of my world were groups like Grandmaster Flash, DMC, LL Cool J, Public Enemy. I have no idea if this means anything to anybody there, but that sets the stage for where I was in grade 9 in terms of my choosing percussion over band, because I didn't know what a bassoon was, but I knew what beats were and drums were, so I chose percussion. Enter Richard Jones. Dick Jones was our percussion teacher. I get to picture, he was 6'4", late 40s, early 50s, big muscular guy. Picture a Welsh Arnold Schwarzenegger without the accent, with glasses and curly hair. And that was our percussion teacher when I was in grade 9. And he was not a percussionist. He said flat out from day one, this is not my forte, this is not my milieu, I'm gonna do what I can. I think someone found out that he played organ at his church, and they said, okay, great, you're the new music teacher in the percussion class. So there it went. So he handed us drumsticks on the first day, and we spent the first month working on percussion rudiments, just as techniques. So we were on practice pads and the back of chairs and whatnot, just playing with sticks and whatever else, making rhythms, doing what we could to make music in that classroom. And it was so very creative. We did everything in that class. We did, like, again, rudiments and some drum corps stuff, some precision sticking. We then modulated to orchestral percussions and learned about all the instruments in the orchestra and the wind band. We did Latin percussion, we did percussion ensemble. We ultimately did the percussion section music for the junior band. But we spent most of our time on sticks, playing on buckets, playing on anything we could hit to make music and make sound. There were occasions even where Mr. Jones would actually sit at the piano and just make up some songs, and we just add beats to them. And that was our class. And even as I'm sitting here years later, I get excited thinking about how much fun I had at that point in my life making music in that situation. It was just a lot of fun. Now, if you were to ask me back then, if I were to ask Mr. Jones back then, what was his why? Why did he become a music teacher? Why was he music education? He would say, I think I didn't want to be a music teacher. My intent, I mean, he was an athlete. He was the head of the bodybuilding club at my school. He was an athlete, and somehow he was thrown in the music department, and that was his world back in those days. These days, I find myself doing a lot of speaking virtually online. So I do a lot of talks at universities and schools on various topics: music education, festival prep, perspective of composers and compositions, repertoire, active listening, and of course, aspects of my career. And in a talk I did just 2 weeks ago, that question came up, what was your why? And I told that story about Mr. Jones to a very sprightly young group of musicians. And it's the strangest thing. Kids these days are just extraordinary, aren't they? I don't know what it is about young people these days, but they have a sense of awareness that doesn't relate to who I was when I was a kid. I mean, they are very aware of the things that grip our community right now. They are in touch with things like climate change and politics and social justice. So in these discussions, when we're talking about various things that pertain to, again, music and compositions and whatever else, invariably the question asked, the conversation invariably turns to diversity. And I get the question, in the face of diversity, what have I done? What have I experienced? So I told this particular class the story of the first concert I ever did as a conductor. Many of you may know, as Mark mentioned, I'm the conductor of the Toronto Youth Wind Orchestra. And our first concert ever was on June the 3rd, 1993. We rented a Macmillan Theatre at the University of Toronto Faculty of Music. We had a pretty respectable audience, about 350, 375, pretty respectable audience. And it was so much fun. I'll never forget that time. My programming was awful. We're talking the 1993 version of Colin Clarke. Programming is what I do as a profession. But when I look at my program back then, it was just a terrible, terrible program. A colleague of mine once said to me, Colin Clarke, you know 3 composers and 2 of them are Alfred Reed. And I didn't care. I was having so much fun making music. It was just a great time. And we did it. We put together our little mountain music and had a good time doing that. Now, I found out a couple days later that there are 2 people in the audience that did not have as great a time. And I learned through subsequent conversations that they were alarmed to see someone of my pigmentation on the stage in this particular setting. They had a daughter who played in the wind orchestra. And again, through subsequent conversations, I learned that they were annoyed, upset, and to use their words, embarrassed that their daughter was put into that situation. Some of you may know a book by Lauren Lebrecht called The Maestro Myth, Great Conductors in Pursuit of Power. And in his book, he talks about implied power, the illusion of power. Our performance traditions in our community, there are things that we do as musicians that is just part of what we do in concert settings. For example, when the music doesn't begin until the conductor raises and lowers his or her baton and the music begins. The music ends with the conductor cuts everything off, turns to the audience, and he or she takes a bow. And what these people had an issue with back in 1993 was the concept of this conductor walking on the stage and the musicians in the orchestra having to stand to, in a way, transfer power to him, to someone like me. And they were very, very upset about that. They went on to say a number of few things that just suggest that they had no interest in having me involved in their daughter's life. And again, this is 1993. There was no Facebook, there was no Instagram or whatnot. And Colin Clarke is a very innocuous name. It's a very British sounding name. So our posters had no pictures on it, just Colin Clarke, Taiwo, whatever else, the time, the date, and there you go. So they were surprised when they got to the concert. They saw someone like me in that setting. And they were just mortified when someone like me was put in a position where I had power over their daughter. So they forbade their daughter play in the band ever again. And although she and I are still friends to this day, it was a very embarrassing moment for her and a very struggling moment for me. So going back to the talk I gave at the school, one of the kids asked, and I'm paraphrasing here, what is your why? Particularly in the face of adversity, why did you want to be a conductor? Why did you want to go into music education? I didn't, I said. The reality is that my life had a series of events that led me to the podium, but I wanted to be a professional percussionist. I didn't want to be a conductor. Who wants to be a conductor? I wanted to be a percussionist because that was more fun there. So then I look at you professional music educators, and I mean, speaking of adversity, it's gotta be hard teaching music in Ontario. Mr. Jones was not a music teacher in the traditional sense. He was dragged kicking and screaming into the music department, and he was obviously an athlete. My friend, another local example, he had a job with a particular board to do the music program. And the Friday before the first day of school, so this is the Friday before the long weekend, Labor Day weekend, he got a call from his vice principal and said, when you come in on Tuesday, report to the guidance department. You're now in charge of guidance. And that was just taken away from him, just like that. And that's the kind of adversity that I've never had to deal with in a different case. Now, mind you, That particular story of me with the wind orchestra, that was the first time I was met with that kind of adversity in that setting. I had never been, if you will, abused in that context. I've seen adversity before in my life, and of course several times since then. But that was the first time that happened in my setting, in my temple, the band room, the rehearsal hall. That was my temple. That was my space. And that was the first time, and sadly not the last time, that I felt the sting of that kind of adversity in that context. When I think of the adversity that teachers have to go through, think about this. I looked this up. The Globe Mail, a year ago today, the Globe Mail ran a headline that read, Ontario secondary school teachers go on one-day strike starting next week. And that was the beginning of a very difficult time to be a teacher in Ontario, as this conflict was launched between the government and the unions. And this is all pre-pandemic. So now we live in a world where, oh my goodness, everything has just completely changed. Talk about adversity. Our industry is changing. Businesses are closing down, music programs are dying. And let's be honest, some music programs are not going to survive this pandemic. That's the reality of our situation. This is a terrible time to be a music educator. There are just so many things that you have to deal with as music educators to give relevance to what we do as proprietors of music education. So I ask myself often this, what is my why? Why did I go into music education? Why am I doing this? And I have to confess, and I do this with pride, part of my why is you. Part of the reason why I love doing what I do is seeing what you folks do out there in your classrooms, because I know it's not easy, and I know it's you have longer days now than you ever had before. It's an extraordinary time to keep what we do relevant and in the presence and in the forefront of our administrators, of our parents, of our students. And it's just amazing to see. I have to tell you something, you may not like this. I stalk quite a bit of you online. We all have Facebook, so I make many occasions where I'll go online and many of you make posts online about your programs, about what you're doing in education, what you're doing in your classrooms, and the innovative things you're coming up with to keep music relevant. Teachers who are putting together 187 videos into one compact concert to do an online virtual concert. Teachers who are doing bucket drumming and doing videos where the lights go off and the sticks are glow in the dark. That's amazing. Teachers who are making the local news in their area for the things that they're doing in the classroom. It's amazing what you do. And part of where I get my joy is going online and seeing what's happening in the world. My career, of course, is based on going from school to school to school and working with musicians in various different contexts, high school, elementary schools, universities, going to festivals and seeing these things in action. And that brings a special kind of joy to my world. That's the perspective from which I live. It's like, imagine, you know what it's like when you're driving through a neighborhood and you see kids walking home from school and one of those kids is carrying a saxophone case. And you just go, oh, that's so exciting because there's music happening somewhere in this world. I love it. And just now that I think about it, let's change the saxophone case to a French horn case. There's too many saxophones in the band. So they're walking home and you see a kid carrying a French horn case and you go, wow, that's exciting. Somewhere around here, music is happening. Or they're carrying a bassoon case or a bass clarinet case. That's just exciting. For me, as I look at things that are happening in the world right now, I get on Facebook, I talk to my friends, I call my colleagues, and I get excited to see the things that are happening in the classrooms during a pandemic in this wonderful province of ours. It is just extraordinary. Music provides a gateway for opportunity and purpose. And you folks are the facilitators of that. And to see how you've managed to modulate into this online platform or whatever it is to keep music going is extraordinary to me. And it's an awesome thing. My teacher, Mr. Jones, died 2 months ago. And because of the pandemic, his students we couldn't give him the send-off he deserved. So in honor of my high school teacher, I want to take this opportunity just to praise teachers. So thank you, educators, for everything you do. Thank you, elementary school teachers. Two of the scariest words in the word to me is beginning band. I'm a pretty talented guy. I can do a lot of things. I've accomplished a lot of things, but you put a beginner band in front of me and that's like kryptonite to me, or beginner strings or elementary vocal class. I can't do it. And you do it and you do it well. Thank you for what you do, elementary school teachers. You are fantastic. High school teachers, I can't say enough good things about you. And many of your students we share. So in the community groups that I conduct, I have many of your students, and thank you, because I get to see these students who come to my arena already enthusiastic about music, already just jacked alive about music. It's fantastic. I get to go around the province, see great things happening in high schools. Thank you, high school teachers, for the things that you do, because your innovation, your passion, your creation is extraordinary. University professors, these are the teachers that teach the teachers how to teach. And none of us would be here if it weren't for them. So props to our university professors that are out there, and retired teachers. I've been teaching now for 30 years. And the landscape of music education in Ontario has changed dramatically over the past few decades. And we have built a foundation, I've built a structure on a foundation that was created by teachers who were in the fields 20, 30, 40, 50 years ago. So we are standing on the shoulders of giants. So to the retired teachers out there, we thank you. I'd be remiss if I didn't mention organizations like Logomoped, Harpnet, St. John's Music, Heinel Music, Cosmo Music, Yamaha Canada, any number of these groups or organizations whose purpose is to provide the resources we need as educators to do well in the classroom. And again, our industry is changing. So thank you to those organizations and many others who I've failed to miss, sorry about that, who are doing great things to keep us in the classroom and keep us well equipped in the classroom. And I would be remiss if I didn't thank those special people who put together the OMEA, and in particular today, the OBA. You're going above and beyond. The words I use for you people simply is above and beyond, to create the community we have in Ontario and to bring people in a large province, bring all these people together in a platform like this is something special. This is above and beyond, because I don't think you get paid for this sort of thing. I don't think this is part of your contract. I think it's something you do especially above and beyond because you appreciate the importance of music education in our community. I'm going to close by saying that here I'm at this age, still learning from teachers. And I did a lecture at York University just days ago, met a person, and she said something that I used in the speech already. Music is the gateway for opportunity and purpose. And that line encapsulates my career. And because I was given an opportunity, I found purpose, and that opportunity was given to me by a music teacher. So thank you all for what you do, because you folks have become part of my why. Thank you for the opportunity to share this with you. Stay safe, stay healthy, stay positive, stay strong.
Hey, let's give a cheer for Colin. Thanks, Colin, so much. It's funny. I don't think it doesn't depend on whatever grade we're teaching. I think when we get back to real music in the classrooms, I think everyone's going to feel like a beginner again. Wow, what a start. You certainly, you have a special way about you, Colin. I'm going to call it the magic touch. When I think back through the nearly 20 years of the Concert Band Festival at the OBA, rarely have I witnessed a more beloved, more talented, and more giving adjudicator. And we've had some pretty incredible people from across North America these past few years. Quick story for everyone, especially the young ones who might not know this. In the early days of the festival, we decided to offer a conductor cam for professional development, a camera just on the conductors with an adjudicator giving feedback. In addition to the feedback, we wanted to give the the conductors a chance to win an award. So out of fairness, we thought we should have just one adjudicator sit on this judging camera, the adjudicator cam, for the whole festival. And that first year, I asked Colin to do that. So you can picture the time we had one performance, all Colin sitting in that chair from about 8 o'clock in the morning till 8 at night by himself, giving feedback online on camera to, I think it was about 140 conductors that year. And true to form, Colin didn't complain once, although there were a couple nights we almost had to carry him out of the chair. For those who really know him, and for those who have only maybe met him once through a clinic or a workshop, I think it's fair to say that Colin lights up the room when he steps on the podium. He brings an energy and a sparkle, a childlike enthusiasm to the kids, to the youth, or the adults, or whoever he is working with. And he does it every single time, year in and year out. And coupled with this unbridled enthusiasm, Colin also has an incredible set of ears and musical intuition that's guided his ensembles to create some really beautiful music together in many amazing locations. I think Colin is truly a master of his craft. Colin's impact on our community, our music community, can't be overstated. If you think about Taiwo, the Toronto Youth Wind Orchestra, it's kind of incredible history, and I can't begin to share it, but it is 30 years this year. Colin, I think he's an exceptional and courageous trailblazer. I can't think of any other youth ensemble program started by a young kid out of school with no money and no experience that has had such a positively profound impact on band music in Ontario. He has taught, guided, influenced, and mentored literally thousands of student musicians over the past 30 years. And if you look at the very long list of Taiwo alumni, you will find an incredible number of individuals who have become professional musicians, music teachers, band directors, and some music industry geeks. They say if you want to have a positive impact on music education, you have to teach the teachers. And this is exactly what Colin has been doing for his entire life, teaching teachers, new and old. And of course, we have to remember that Colin does all this with an incredible sense of humor. He really is a very funny guy. He can make anyone laugh, regardless of their age. I'm sure you can all think of some very funny, hilarious moments in clinics and rehearsals. And the laugh, that laugh, oh, I admire you. You can just look at someone and stand there and make them laugh, just shrug of his shoulders. It's incredible. But beyond the laughter lies the heart of a man who is so very unselfish and willing to be vulnerable for the sake of others. If you try to compliment Colin, he responds with great humility and grace, often trying to turn the compliment back to you and your program. And I know that he brings the best out of everyone in such a natural and fun-loving way, always driven by his kind, compassionate, and thoughtful approach to making music. In short, Colin is a beautiful person, and he loves music, and he loves people. With the assistance of Angela, if she could, it's my distinct honor today to present Colin Clarke with the Ontario Band Association Lifetime Membership Award in appreciation for your commitment, your dedication, and outstanding leadership with the OBA, and of course, to music across North America. Thank you so very much, Colin. It's such an honor to present this to you today.
This is worthy of unmuting. So if everybody can unmute themselves, and let's give a big cheer.
Yeah.
Hey, Colin. Thank you, Colin.
Thank you. Thank you so much. I don't know what to say. I had no idea this was coming, and Mark, you're way too kind. All I do is emulate what I see around me, and what I see around me is a community of extraordinary talent, from elementary school, beginner, all the way to university. I think a colleague of mine once said, steal from everyone, share with everyone. I've done a lot of thievery over the past several years, and I don't mind saying that, but I steal from the best, and you folks drive me to be better at who I am and what I do. I'm a little shooken up. I didn't see this coming, and I say again, to the OBA, to the panel, to all of you, sincere thanks. God bless you. Thank you so much. This means a lot to me. Thank you.
Hey, Colin.
Thank you so much, Colin, for sharing your wonderful words with us today, and thank you, Mark, for putting this this special surprise presentation together. So thank you so much to you both, and hopefully we'll be able to hang around for the next part of our session.